Can you believe they finally got the playoff seeding set? Will the Sixers find enough experience to dethrone the Cavs? Have the Rockets solved the Warriors equation? The only question left is, say it with me, you win? Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown podcast / live show on Periscope. It is a Wednesday evening. I think we've finally gotten the matchups, and we've finally gotten James Holas at Snotty Drippin' to join me to go over all of these playoff implications. So, James, thanks for joining us.
Finally got me. You can have me on anytime. You and Dave been big time me.
Oh, okay. Well, then fine. You're gonna come on a lot more during the playoffs because we're gonna be doing this as often as we can, every night, if you will, perhaps. So you definitely be on call. Be ready to jump in here on the Periscope, on the pod, and everything. You promise?
Do it. I'm ready.
All right. Well, so, I've been waiting for a week. We haven't been able to do any playoff previews video-wise because of this, and we finally got some stuff locked down, and I got it on my screen right now. I guess we can kind of go through, from the top down. Let's start with the West. Let's just kind of bounce back and forth. But the first thing we have here is the Rockets and the Timberwolves. We just saw the game against the Nuggets, an overtime thriller. The home team won, as it looked like they were going to win the whole game, even though the Nuggets wouldn't give up. What are your thoughts overall on this matchup and what might play out?
Well, we know that the Timberwolves are going to run their starters, and they're going to run them hard and run them fast. Tibbs is going to lean on those five guys really hard, but we know that defensively that the Timberwolves they weren't up to snuff this year. Defensively, I think they were one of the worst defensive rating in the league. But with the tools they got, right, with Wiggins and Jimmy Butler and Karl-Anthony Towns, they should be able to put up some kind of fighting. Rockets just come in waves, and they're going to just put up a lot of threes, and they're going to keep coming and keep coming. And James Harden is playing like the MVP right now that he is. Chris Paul has been kind of gently used all season. He should be fresh for the playoffs. They're going to be a load. So I think it's going to be maybe shorter than we'd like. But, you never know. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's probably like 5, maybe. I just feel like the Rockets have too much firepower on the offensive end. Taj Gibson also is a defensive guy who really did a nice job. I mean, kind of on Jokic. Jokic was hitting shots that were crazy, I thought. But you did see Taj do some really good sort of game-saving plays down the stretch. So, but I don't know. I just don't see. I mean, this is the first time they've been in the playoffs for 13, 14 years. The experience really isn't there. I think Wiggins is, not the kind of guy you want to rely on in this situation. So, I think they're going to end up, they'll probably get a game at home in Minnesota, and then, the Rockets win in 5. Is that crazy?
Now, here's something interesting. Second half of the season, the Rockets were 6th in offensive rating, and the Timberwolves were 8th. Only like a point and a half behind. Now, defense where it was all different, though. Second half, since All-Star break, Houston's been 3rd in defensive rating. And Minnesota, guess where they were?
Well, they've been in the 20s, I think, all year, right?
Yeah, well, they did better. They were 19th.
Okay, hey, there's some improvement. But the weirdest thing about that when you watch the Timberwolves is that, no middle is a really big Tibbs, mantra usually for his defenses. And yet all I saw tonight was the Denver Nuggets just getting in the middle and kicking out and getting shots. It was really strange, almost to the point where I almost feel like maybe Tibbs had changed his philosophy on that and tried to do different things. And I don't know why, because to me it seems like a much better way to do it. So I would be really concerned if you're going to let Chris Paul and James Harden in that middle. You're either going to foul them, put them on the line, or you're going to give up threes to guys who are going to make them a lot more than even in Denver.
I don't think they changed the philosophy. I think that's we're seeing part of the evolution of Karl-Anthony Towns. As athletic as he is, he's kind of undisciplined as your anchor, defensive anchor. Gets out of position a lot. He seems like he's not lost, like a half step behind the play. He doesn't guard the middle. He's athletic. You think he'd be a great rim protector. He's just not. He fouls. He makes silly fouls. He lets guys get by him. And you see, I think he gets a little juiced up. You can see he gets like bouncing on his toes, and that's the depth of him defensively. So, yeah, we'll see. James Harden's going to put him on his heels, and this will be interesting to see.
Yeah, although it will be worth it to watch Butler and Harden go at each other because that should be a really interesting matchup. Butler should be able to have some success. He should be able to do something to frustrate Harden and to perhaps keep him from scoring a little bit. So there's something there to see. But again, I don't know if anyone would give him much more than 5 games. Let's move on to the Eastern Conference. Let's bounce back and forth. Let's do the same matchup on the East. We have the Raptors and the Wizards. The Wizards just perennially underperforming. They didn't have John Wall for a big stretch. He just came back, and it's looked pretty good. What do you think here? I'm hearing grumblings on Twitter even just now where people are starting to think that maybe the Wizards could do something.
I mean, the potential is there, right? I don't think they're the classic 8 seed where usually like the bottom of the barrel team and kind of a joke team. The Wizards don't seem to be. They seem to be less than the sum of their parts. Somehow, like they played like their strongest, most inspired ball without John Wall. And sure, the ceiling's lower without him, but they seem to play with a lot more punch when he was out. But he obviously provides another all. In the playoffs, you need all-star level performance, right? Your stars, kind of your horses. You ride your horse in the playoffs. So we'll see. It's arguable to say that against the Raptors, that the Wizards have the best player in the series, right? Because a lot of people are really high on a healthy John Wall, and that matters in the playoffs. Now the Raptors have been confident, and I think the Raptors' depth is where they're going to win out because the Wizards' bench has been notoriously weak, while the Raptors' bench has been strong all season. So. I say again 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. I mean, let me think. Could you have a situation where like Beal goes off and then maybe Wall goes off and that would be like the one game they could grab, and then could it happen again? And they have the pieces. Otto Porter is really good and very solid, and they have the Wall and Beal, and they have Gortat, and they have Morris. They have Satoransky has been playing well, so they have something there. Toronto, you have to be a little bit concerned. Although you're right, that bench that they have is fantastic. I love Van Vliet. I think he's perfect for them to come off the bench.
Something to watch. Van Vliet was hurt tonight. I'm not sure how bad it was. Yeah, he left the game with an injury. Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay, I missed that. So again, and then one of those things where they didn't need this game, right? Although Van Vliet would have been playing probably heavy minutes anyway because they were going to rest for Lowry, whatever. But still, that's got to hurt. It really does because he really does a lot of stuff for them, even the sneaky stuff that you don't even notice that goes in the box score. So
he's in their closing lineup a lot.
Yeah, right. So keep your eye on that because again, that could be something that gets them to 6 games. And they get some confidence, and who knows what happens. So I guess both you and I are sort of saying the same thing in the sense that, I think we think that the Raptors are going to win, but it might not be a traditional easy 1/8 cakewalk.
Obviously not, right? And Raptors also have some demons to exercise in the playoffs as far as will Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan come and play well? Because if they don't, I don't care how good the bench plays, especially if Van Vliet is hobbled or not playing, they might really be in trouble. John Wall, one thing we can say about the Wizards, they never lack confidence, even though they didn't really earn that confidence. But, if let's say Beal goes off, Wall starts hitting gets in the groove, and then Otto Porter's hitting his threes, and Markieff Morris starts hitting, that's something. Kelly Oubre could be the X factor there.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, and I love Kelly Oubre. He's got great energy, and he's really developing some skills as well. So you're right. They have a lot to offer at the very least, and they definitely are an underperforming. They're not your typical 8th seed. So that's the thing that they have to be very careful about. But we'll see. Then you got to talk about Scott Brooks versus Dwayne Casey, which is another interesting thing. And Casey certainly has done a huge turnaround in the way they play the game, the way they play offense, which has been really impressive to me. But we still have had issues with him and his lineups in the playoffs in the past. So that's another big leap he's going to have to make to figure out how to make that work, especially if they're shorthanded at all, missing anybody off that bench.
And look, Anunoby, Van Vliet, a lot of these young Siakam, Jacob Poeltl, these are they didn't get playoff minutes. This is their first playoff run, and that matters. Experience and the intensity ratchets up. Let's see how that young bench holds up.
For sure. Although there might be some value to growing up in Europe, I do feel like some of those games, even at the junior level, tend to get really intense in those tournaments they play, where it gives you a little bit of that sense of something. But you're right; it's nothing like the NBA playoffs. So we'll find out if they're battle tested or not. Let's jump over to the Western Conference again because we now have the Warriors and the Spurs. I have to imagine that the team that has sighed the most over the last 2 days of relief has been the Warriors. That I can't imagine any other better matchup for them than the Spurs. The Spurs are dinged up. That player is LaMarcus Aldridge, who has been lights out lately. But I'm sure that the Warriors aren't too scared of him. Now it's still a top-led team, top coach team. They got to work, right? Because nothing's going to come easy. And the Warriors aren't healthy. They don't look like they're not clicking right now. They don't seem to be. I think they've lost. Someone said they lost 4 of their last 6. Is that right? Ooh.
So Yeah, I'll look it up while you go ahead. But,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely gotten stung a couple times, and Steve Kerr has been pretty, critical of his team and their effort. And it's kind of understandable. You know, this is a long run. Then this is the fourth, NBA Finals run they're going to be on in a row. But if you look at who they could have played, I mean, there's no question the Jazz would have been a nightmare matchup for them defensively, what the Jazz can do. I don't think they wanted to face OKC and Russ without Steph. I think that would have been a real, just a problematic thing for them. It's a problematic thing for them sometimes with Steph. So, again, like that's a bullet they dodged that lets them kind of get through this series. They probably win in 5. Because, again, the Spurs are good. They've won a lot of games this year. Pop has done a great job coaching them, but I felt like they've really struggled against the elite teams. So when the teams are really good, Houston's and the Spurs, and of course, someone's going to come out and say that they beat them. I don't even know what the record is against the Rockets, for instance, but the bottom line is that there's been big enough stretches for me to look to tell me that the Spurs just aren't going to do well against these top teams.
Yeah, I just looked at the Warriors have lost 3 of their last 4.
Yeah.
Which, the guys in our line of resting guys. We know it's not indicative of their top level of play.
Yeah.
We keep, we always throw dirt on the Spurs at different points in their timeline of the last couple of years. And I don't think they're going to beat Golden State. But guess what? If they can give them some body blows and you soften them up, round 2 comes, Steph's not 100%, and now, you put some more wear and tear on their treads. This is year 4 of a possible deep playoff run. These guys are showing those signs of fatigue. I know, Phil Jackson spoke out of it, the disease of more, and it's not just about guys being selfish. It's just more. You've had more miles, more punishment from other teams, more pressure, more stress. That all adds up, and you can kind of see it on Golden State's face right now. They're feeling the weight of history on them right now.
Absolutely, and it's natural. And there's almost like no shame in if anything were to happen when they don't make it back to the finals. Well, you don't think so? I mean, there's shame is a relative word, but you know what I mean? Like at some point someone's going to say, dude, like that's a lot of winning. It's a lot of games. It's understandable. The Rockets are there. You're right. They believe, that said, I'd be really upset if we didn't get at least a Western Conference Finals between these two teams, right?
Right. Yeah. They got to at least make it. I mean, I think if they don't win at all, right? They still have 2 MVPs on the roster. Sure. If Steph won't be hobbled, we're not giving them that excuse. It's not. I mean, the general public's not giving them that excuse. Same thing. If Dre's an all-star, Clay's an all-star. You got 4 all-stars on your team. If one goes down, that should be the end of it. And but they really struggle without Steph.
And the key with any team is chemistry and how well they get along. Just like a general manager needs to connect players who can work together, eHarmony is the place to find lasting, meaningful relationships. No shallow dating here. They've helped over 1 million people find their match, utilizing decades of science, data, and psychological research to send you the right matches. The sign-up process is easy, enjoyable, yet thorough, and asks all the right questions to help find the right person for you. And right now, get a free month with eHarmony when you sign up for a 3-month subscription. Just enter my code COACH at checkout. So stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's one app that's built to bring you real love, eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. Enter my code COACH at checkout. Well, you know what? Let's go to some questions real quick while we have it. And if you have any questions and you're over here on Periscope with us, make sure to write them in the comments and we'll get to them because I see a couple here that are pretty good. Legendary NBA asks, hey, Coach, do the Warriors have a legit threat to lose in the first round? I think we just kind of covered that. No, the Spurs are not going to beat them. There's not a legit threat. Right, James? I think we kind of settled that one just now.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. They shouldn't lose to the Spurs. As good as the Spurs are as well, Coach, they shouldn't lose to a team that's going to be playing big minutes to guys that, more people in their press.
For sure. Now, someone out there was asking why Jokic is your favorite player, and I wanted to give him a shout out, but I can't. Now I lost that question, but I saw it. You want to give that answer?
So my thing with Jokic, it's a funny back and forth with Jokic stands. I'm fan stands because I keep saying he's a multiple-time future All-Star. He's very good. People anointed him a top 10 player coming into this season. I think I saw you say something about him being underrated, and I laughed about it one time on Twitter because he's been overrated. He's a good player. You can say he's a good player. You can say he's top 20. The fact that people are saying he's a top 10, knocked on top 5 player, he's just not there. The fact that other teams can target him and pick and roll, and pick on him. And look, his numbers are great. I get it. He's efficient. He's a great passer. I understand. When your center can't defend to that level where he's getting targeted and pick and roll, that's a problem. You're 30th defense, that's a problem. It's the second year in a row that he just barely missed the playoffs, and I get it. If you're a top 10 player, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you know? And that was Sarmid Hansari who asked you that question, by the way. I found the question there. And you know what? I think what I wanted to say was maybe not as much underrated, but sort of like under the radar. Like people don't talk about him as much as I think that they should. And then, you know, whenever I get into those kind of discussions, it's offense. It's like, to me, it's, you know, defense, schmefense at this point when you're talking about like hype and whatever. But there's no question, when you watch Jokic out there, he's just not very effective at all on defense. And it is a problem. And they need to find somebody else who can play alongside him that, you know, can be a better defensive stopper. It's not going to be Millsap. I mean, Millsap's okay, but you need somebody better. But the problem is you don't want to throw like a non-offensive player out there in that power forward position, right? You need to have someone who's like a stretch four, who's like a really good, you need like a Draymond Green, I guess, who shoots a little bit better.
It's just really tough though, and like if you got a scheme that specifically around a player, it's hard to say that he's a elite. You know, he's a top 10 guy. You plug him anywhere. And again, we're nitpicking because I think this is a summer where Jokic's going to get his body in shape, get himself in better conditioning, which will help a lot. And if he can just be a lane clogger, you know, make myself big around the rim like how Gasol does, doesn't have to be he doesn't have to chase guys all over the place and be a Dwayne Dedman type shot blocker. He just has to be able to be smart, move his feet, and at least provide resistance around the rim. He's not doing that right now.
Right, absolutely. And maybe he can get better. He can build his body up. He doesn't have to get bigger and stronger. He just needs to get more mobile and more lean, I would think, would be his solution, and better strength in his core and grip. Now, here's a good question from Chris Skrieger asks, how shocked would you be if the Cavs lost in round one? Now, we haven't talked about the Cavs matchup, so let's jump into that. Let's kind of go around a little bit here. What do you think? Do you think that there's any chance the Cavs lose? Now, they're playing the Pacers. It's a 4-5. The Cavaliers is the lowest seed that LeBron, I think, has ever had in his career, if I'm not mistaken. Is there any chance the Pacers have to beat this team?
I mean, they have a puncher's chance, right? Victor Oladipo is playing like a top 15 guy, top 10. He's playing like a top 10 guy almost this season as far as a wing attacker. They got rim protection in Miles Turner. They got a bunch of like versatile, switchy kind of guys. So, I mean, they have a puncher's chance. And, we know LeBron is not the defensive monster he is, and this team is not to probably very stout defensively. So maybe you can win a shootout. But LeBron James is still LeBron James. He's probably going to average, if he wants to, 35, 10, and 10 in the series without breaking the sweat. They have no one to really guard him.
Right.
It'll be fun to watch Lance try. It'll be fun to watch Lance and him get into it again. But until LeBron gets toppled in the East, I don't see him getting toppled.
Yeah, I hear you. It's interesting because the Pacers do have a very varied attack. They've got 6 people in double figures, and then Lance is at like 9.2. So they got a lot of guys that can kind of put the ball in the basket a little bit. They might get hot. And remember, the Cavaliers' defense really hasn't improved. I haven't checked that recently. And luckily, we have the technology to press a button and check really quickly. But
I got it queued up already.
Oh, never mind. They're 29th out of 30th in defensive ratings. So that has not gone anywhere but down for them. That's a problem when you have a team, any pro team in the playoffs against you that has time to prepare. So that very well could be a problem. So I would be very surprised if they do lose. But yeah, you cannot rule it out. The way they play defense and where they're at with this team.
That's it. I mean, we know that this is the weakest defensive team, maybe. Even though there were some Cavs guys that were showing numbers from last season saying that defensive ranking wise, they were worse last year. But we know, I mean, this is basically a new team, right? They just brought in 6 new guys, less than 30 games ago. So they haven't really built a real chemistry cohesiveness yet. And we'll see if that affects them in the playoffs.
For sure. Well, let's stay in the East for a second because we skipped over the Celtics and the Bucks. I'm kind of curious. The Bucks have backed into the playoffs here, and they have Giannis, and I'm very excited to see him, on the bigger stage here. You're the Celtics guy. Do you think that they're going to be able to just sort of take this series with no problem?
No, not even close. I'm not surprised if they lose. Ooh. Like this. Well, Boston built up a lot of wins, but they had 60 games of Kyrie Irving, and he's not there. They have Marcus Smart in the lineup. He's not there. People sleep. Daniel Tice had a great rookie season. He's a 25-year-old rookie. He was a strong defender. He can switch down the perimeter. He was blocking shots. He's not there. That couple of that Gordon Hayward's gone. It's like there's a war of attrition going on in Boston. I think that Kyrie being out just might be too much. We're dealing with a rookie small forward, a second-year two guard. Al Horford, we know, can do everything on the court, but he's not going to give you 25 a night. And Boston, they struggle to score. Even though they're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league this year, they still go through these droughts because there's no one person. Hello, Kyrie Irving. He's not in the lineup now. So, I mean, hey, Giannis is far and away the best player in that series. Chris Middleton's a great, underrated type player. He averaged 28 points a game this year. If we don't talk about that. Eric Bledsoe's almost 20-point game score. Milwaukee's going to be really tough, and Boston just might not have the horses to keep up with them.
Yeah, and Jabari Parker is looking really good too as far as moving wise. And as that rust shakes off, he'll be another potential 20-point scorer. So, yeah, that would be an interesting little what's the buttonhole or little ribbon on the season for the Bucks after having gone through getting rid of Kidd and the tumultuousness of that. For them to kind of turn it around and upset the Celtics would be, a nice little story. And you know what? You might have actually convinced me. I think that you're right. The Bucks might end up being sort of the favored team because of all those injuries. It's kind of decimating them. It's really too bad. Marcus Smart definitely out. He's not coming back for the first round.
He's not coming back for the first round. So, like, let's think about this. Let's talk about the bigger picture thing. Are you going to call that an upset?
Right. Well,
I mean, listen, sure, it's a 2-7, but is that really an upset? Like, when your best player goes down 15 games before the playoffs, it's Kyrie Irving, he's gone. Is that an upset to beat a team that's like that starting lineup is missing, two guys from the opening night roster who are all-star caliber players?
Yeah, start the narratives now. Let's get them.
I'm already frustrated to hear about how Brad Stevens failed again in the playoffs. I'm like, what do you want him to do? He has a lineup held together with string and bubble gum. So it'll be interesting to see. Hey, guess what? If Boston does win it, though, feather in his cap, because I think he's overcome a lot to get these guys out of the first round.
Okay, absolutely. Well, let's jump over to the Western Conference again for the Portland Trailblazers, who are facing the New Orleans Pelicans. So, what do you think about this? I mean, Anthony Davis has been playing like a madman's dragged him into the playoffs. Portland has sort of cooled down and not really played as well as they had in the past. In fact, I kind of want to quickly, while we're talking, check the scores, unless you have that queued up real quick.
They got 85-61. Portland's up.
Okay, so it looks like they're going to take that game.
Yeah. And hey, real quick, I'm going to jump back. The Cavs, since All-Star break, are 21st in defensive rating.
Okay, so not as bad as 29th, but that's how bad they were before that. So, okay, so they've been a little bit better, which might just be enough for them to sort of hang enough of their hat on that to take that series, I guess. We'll see. Although you never know. Again, it's playing in a regular season versus a team that can prepare. But that said, I guess their defense can prepare too, so maybe that'll be something better. It's an interesting matchup. Now, so you say, the Blazers are up big in the fourth quarter. So if they do take that, then they're the ones who end up. It doesn't even matter because as far as the matchups goes, but
if they win tonight, they're going to get home court over OKC, and they'll be the 3. No, yes. I'm wrong. Blazers are going to be the 3.
Yeah, they'll be the 3.
There you go. Utah's going to be 4 or 5 with OKC.
Okay, so we got that locked in. So, okay, do the Pelicans have anything to offer that could actually, win them the series?
Yeah, they have Anthony Davis. Again, when you have the best player in the series, you have a chance, and he is far and away the best player in that series. Dame has been playing outstanding. Dame's been great, but you got a 7-footer who can do it all like AD can, Brow can. It's a whole different animal.
Okay. I mean, they have Aminu, who could probably play a little bit of defense on him, although he's still probably a little short for him. They have the backcourt, like in Dame and CJ, that could go off and combine for 50 points. That's something.
That's going to be the game changer. Let's see, because Drew Holiday's been outstanding defensively this year. It's been very underrated how great he's been playing defensively and offensively. He's been really good. So if he can slow down one of Dame or CJ enough, Rondo's not going to stop anybody. Rondo's not going to give him back to the handle. Rondo just has to stay on the court and get the offense moving and get guys involved. So I just think, it's basically Drew and AD versus CJ and Dame's offense. Let's see which comes out on top.
Yeah, so it's kind of like
I'm betting on the 7-footer.
Okay, is it kind of like a running team versus a passing team, but not really? But somehow they're going to attack in the backcourt, and then they're going to try and go with the front court. Although AD is not really down low, kind of stuff. But we'll have to see how that plays out. The Drew Holiday thing. He's going to have to prove it to me. I gotta see him do it in the playoffs and actually play well there. Because I don't know. I'm not sold on his game, and it, in the bright shining lights of a big series.
I kind of am. I'm big on Drew, man. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, Drew actually played well back when he was with Philly. And then I think he was the last year they made the playoffs. I think he was with them, I believe. So, I really want to believe in Dame, and I want to believe in what they've done in Portland. I guess I'm saying this: the key is going to be Nurk. If Nurkic can at least slow down, the interior as far as the rim attacks of Anthony Davis, and he has to be efficient. Some days he goes off the rails, he's shooting jump shots, and he's just missing bunnies. He has to score, and he has to stay out of foul trouble. And they'll have a puncher. They're the favorite, I guess.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really fun series to say the least. I think we're going to have some, back and forth. That could go 7. That could be our 1, maybe 7-game series in the first round. Or they're actually a lot of these teams are sort of pretty close. We might have more than one of those series that go all the way, right?
Yeah.
Let's jump over to Eastern Conference again and look at the Sixers versus the Heat, because this is pretty much is this a sweep to you?
We're talking Heat and
Sixers.
Yes, I think the Sixers, especially if Embiid comes back for Game 1, which I heard is a possibility, they're just playing. They're clicking on all cylinders right now, and I get it. Miami's well coached too. Hats off to Spo for what he's done this year. Hats off for Josh Richardson is showing improvement. Dragic had one of his better years of his career. I just think they're a team of role players in need of a star to orbit around. They don't have it. They just don't have it. They're going to play hard. They're almost like an iteration of the Celtics team right now. I think Embiid and Simmons are just too much.
Yeah, they will be, and hopefully Embiid the mask isn't going to bother him. He'll be able to play, and that'll be no problem in theory. And they have too much. They actually are pretty deep. They got even a guy like T.J. McConnell can come off the bench and just play solid basketball for them, and hustle on defense, make the right play on offense. Really just keeps them going. Simmons was getting a little bit of a raw deal there, saying that he was riding the coattails of Embiid, but when Embiid went out, you saw Simmons picked that up and was able to lead that team. They're scary, and they're going to be, I don't know, when are they going to be title contenders? Do you think they're going to be by next year?
I think within the next year and a half. Simmons was getting a raw deal. I think pre-All-Star break, without Embiid on the floor and Simmons, they were -5, net rating. Since the All-Star break, they've been +5. When Embiid sat and Simmons played. So that's he's getting better as the year goes on, which is scary. But yeah, definitely this playoff run is going to be them getting their feet wet, and I think they still can go far. And if not, they're all going to be healthy next year. Fultz is going to be healthy, ready to roll. That's going to be 3 high-quality perimeter guys. And if they can keep Redick and get some more shooters, or keep Bellinelli and Ilyasova, they're going to be a load.
Yeah. My last impression right now of the Heat is watching the OKC game when they had a lead and they were playing well, and then they completely crapped the bed in the fourth quarter on offense. Wouldn't move. Some of the pressure got a little bit. They pushed up a little bit on defense, and they literally the offense completely fell apart. And I was like, what is this? And so that's my last impression right now. If I had to say, what I'm thinking about the Heat is that they're just not ready to really compete. Maybe they win the one game at home, Game 3 or something.
People yelled at me all year about the Heat because I just never was a believer, and I said that last year, sure, they went 30-11. That's fun. That's great. Can they maintain that? And a lot of what they did was precipitated on the back of Dion Waiters playing like an all-star. Well, he got hurt. He was out this year. So you don't have one of your primary creators, a 19-point-per-game scorer. It's going to affect you. And, again, almost like the Celtics, it's a war of attrition. You can win a lot of regular season games, but sooner or later the rubber's going to hit the road, and your weaknesses are going to be exposed. And I think that's what we're going to see with Miami.
I agree. Well said. And let's move on to OKC and Utah, because I think this is the worst possible scenario for OKC. This is a team that could just lock them down, I think, defensively. I mean, listen, the Jazz can lock down almost just about everybody on the defensive end. This is going to be a thing where, I don't think Russ is going to do that well if Gobert is able to stay out of foul trouble and stay on the court and bother his shooting at the rim. I think that they're really going to frustrate OKC by playing like they do. I mean, they're really just a good team that really executes what Quinn Snyder likes.
Yeah, and that's where discipline comes in, right? And the Utah Jazz have it in spades, and we know that Russell Westbrook, God bless him, he doesn't, he'll go off the rails sometimes. Now, Paul George tonight played like the all-star that he played like he was ready for the playoff. Russ, he didn't take a lot of shots. He was chasing his numbers. He was, and he got it. He had a triple-double this season. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, James in tonight for 10 minutes to score double digits to keep his streak alive. So I don't want to hear anything about stat chasing. The point being that, sure, OKC has more talent and those two players, Paul George and Russell Westbrook. They have two like Olympian level guys, but the rest of the team might not be up to snuff. I think how Steven Adams stacks up with Rudy Gobert is going to be a decider. If he can stay on the floor and play him to a standstill, which is possible because Steven Adams is really really good. Can Carmelo be an impact player? Is the question.
That's true. Now, that came up, the Adams versus Gobert, but what's interesting about that matchup, it's not really like these two guys going at each other in the post, right? That's not going to be a thing we're going to see at all. It's going to be basically like, who can out-contribute the other, in theory. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, who can have the more of the impact on the defensive end, really. Although I would probably give Adams the nod on offensively as far as skill. But Adams just doesn't get that many opportunities, unfortunately, because I think he could be a scorer more than he does, certainly.
But it's not about him scoring more, right? Because we've seen that if you try to go to a post-centric, heavy offense, you're slowing it down, gumming things up, and other teams will come down and hit threes. So it's not about him individually scoring. It's about keeping him engaged and him rolling hard and keeping Rudy Gobert engaged, right?
Right.
So it's not about touches. Well, it is about touches, not about shots and points. You got to keep him engaged. You're right. They have to keep him involved in the offense, or else Rudy's going to just freelance and be at the rim beating everybody else.
Right, and I mean he should be getting like 10 points a game, like just on rolls and the little floaters he can do, and like that's the thing. They kind of go away from that a lot of times, get kind of caught up in doing other kind of pick and roll pairings, which is it's going to be how Donovan's going to figure out what works best. But they're going to have to be very concerned because throwing Melo out there. I mean, all year long we've seen him guarding the ball screener's man, or him guarding the ball screener, and it being a veritable nightmare for him and for the team on the defensive end. So I had said on Twitter like last week that like they're going to probably have to cut his minutes down. I said to like 20 or something like that, and I don't know if it's going to be that much because I think Donovan's got pressure simply to play him because he is who he is. But if they don't cut his minutes down a little bit, I think they're going to be in trouble.
No, Jeremy Grant has to take a lot of his minutes because he's mobile, he protects the rim, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He plays really well with Steven Adams. So, I think this is going to be up to Donovan, right? The onus is on Donovan to make this, not just make the decision so Melo doesn't pout. It is what it is.
Yeah. Henry Hazard asks, how badly could the Donovan Mitchell guarding him thing go for Russ? So Mitchell could guard Russ. What do you think about that matchup?
Mitchell can't guard Russ. All right. No one in Utah can guard Russ one-on-one. The thing with them is, again, discipline. They're going to play the scheme. Everyone's going to they're going to slough into the middle. They're going to, when Russ drives, they're going to collapse on him, and they're going to be rotating. So he's going to try to go kick out, and those might get picked off. And we know Russ can drive and have a plan, and he'll spray passes everywhere. So if he gets in the groove and he's scoring for mid range, that's his thing. If he's trying to get to the rim and Gobert stones him a few times, and then he gets frustrated and he starts forcing the action, then OKC will be in trouble. So I don't think he'll be in trouble being guarded by Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's he's a pretty good defender for a rookie. It's just, but Russ is still Russell Westbrook. The thing about Russ is he can't just go 100 miles an hour and try to destroy a guy in front of him because teams don't care about that. They'll load up on him and let him do it.
Yeah.
So
I think the key then for Russ is, he needs to be somewhat efficient, and what you're going to probably end up getting is a few of those games where he's 11 of 28 and that kind of stuff, and that's tough to overcome because it's such a high volume of shots. Here's an interesting question from I can't even read that. Like Lamore Hante, I don't know if that's right. What's the recipe for the Warriors without Steph? Interesting question. Here's what they've struggled with is when they kind of let Durant ISO and just sort of like their whole offense breaks down because of that. They got to be careful about doing that too often, even in the first round, I would say.
I think the recipe is Draymond has to hit shots. Draymond hasn't been shooting very well lately. They got to put their energy up. They just have seemed really lethargic. So if they play with energy and Draymond makes shots, Clay has to be really solid defensively. Iggy has to wake up, right? If Iggy can provide, that's been like a jolt of adrenaline off the bench, and he hasn't been that this year. Sean Livingston has to step up and be that effective mid-range shooter again. He just seems to kind of disappeared recently. So everyone else has to step up a notch, and Kevin Durant has to be smart and efficient and not worry about ISO so much.
Yeah.
So I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. They have to play more of the pure Spurs basketball, getting that ball moving, opening shots for Clay. You know, Clay will struggle when he doesn't get touches and there's no movement in the offense like that. So they just got to make sure that Kevin Durant isn't, you see it. He gets in that mode where he's going to try and carry everybody. And I get it. It's like it hasn't worked for a minute or two, and he just kind of quickly does that. So they have to just stay out of that on offense. And it also just sort of speaks to just how good Steph Curry is and how valuable he is. No matter how good Durant is, and Durant is probably better as a basketball player overall, Curry just does something much different and affects the defense in a way that's even more profound. They need him back if they're going to get past the second round.
Absolutely. But, I mean, it seems really simple to say because people are acting, what's wrong with the Warriors? Any team, hey, I don't care what team you are. You take away the best player off that team, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what team. You took Michael Jordan. Sure, that's what Bulls attack. Take Michael Jordan off that team, you're going to struggle.
Right.
So, yeah, they need Steph Curry to be back, and not just back healthy. If he comes back and he's not healthy and he's not making shots, it's going to be nice to have a Steph gravity effect out there. He has to produce.
Yeah. Well, and probably we actually covered everybody. That was all the matchups for the playoffs. I think that was it.
Which one are you looking forward to seeing them?
Oh, the one let's see here. That's a great question. I'm looking forward to. I kind of, it's a good. Geez, I don't know. What are you looking forward to?
I really, outside of course, as this Boston guy, I want to see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I want to see them just, be able to cut loose. There's nothing to lose. They're supposed to get at least 15 shots a night, and the offense should be very Jason and Jaylen centric. I also am excited to see Philly. I want to see these guys' first playoff. I mean, just last year the talk was will Embiid play 50 games. He's already shouted that. Ben Simmons has been a historic rookie. He's going to be in the playoffs now. Let's see him in the playoffs. So I'm really excited to see all these young guys in the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell, too. I'll just give him honorable mention because he's awesome. He's not the rookie of the year. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Utah fans. It's Ben Simmons.
That's the thing I want to see. I want to see Donovan Mitchell. And by the way, that leads me to my question we hear out by Mikhail Ice, who asks, what player on the 16 teams can you see being a surprise standout playoff performer? So I would think, I don't know if Donovan Mitchell would be a surprise standout because we know how good he is now, but that would be my guy who I think, wouldn't it'd just be amazing to see him just kind of go off and just sort of make even a bigger statement about the Rookie of the Year award? I'm
going to say Terry Rozier. He has a chance. Eric Bledsoe, I love Eric Bledsoe. His defense is a little overrated. Terry Rozier had a nice little. Yeah, I'm being nice. I like Eric Bledsoe. I like Mini LeBron. I'm looking at all the playoff teams right now, and who else really do great? Yeah, I'm gonna go with Terry Rozier. I think he has a chance to really make himself a lot of money in these next. I think he's a free agent, not this summer, though, next summer. But Boston has a choice to make. Him and Marcus Smart.
I'm going to go with C.J. McCollum. I think he's going to have a really big series and remind everybody where that he's probably the most underrated player in the NBA.
Oh, I'm switching mine too. I'm going. Hey, Andrew Wiggins has been killed all year. He's been already kind of written off. He just signed this huge contract. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Rockets. If he has a good series defensively, or at least at least he shows that he can play steady defense, and he shows that he can, have an offensive explosion or two. He'll remind people why he was, why he was a top pick and why he got that big contract.
Fair enough. Well, let's answer one last question as we wrap up this podcast and live show on Periscope. Let's see here. Chris Krieger, I think was his name, asks if would we be upset or disappointed with another matchup between the Cavs and the Warriors, something like that. And as I'm scrolling, here it is. Would another Cavs-Warriors finals feel like a letdown after the season?
I wouldn't mind it after this season. So the big thing with the Cavs and Warriors, it seemed like last year, is that it was inevitable. There was never any kind of drama. Who's going to do it? We knew the Warriors and Cavs would win last year, right? I mean, that was my take on it. It was sure, I love watching basketball. I love watching the other teams, but when we already know the end of the story, it's not exciting. It's not really compelling. Even though it's a great final. So this year, hey, Houston's #1 seed. Golden State looks vulnerable. The Cavs, their own GM said it. Hey, we were on a slow walk of death. We had to make these trades. This year, there's at least some kind of drama to it. We still know how things are going to win the playoffs. Steph Curry still. So this year, it won't be disappointing. I feel this year will be more almost organic. It'll be more well earned for both teams. It's not really fair if they earned it last year too. But as far as the narrative goes, this year they both have scratched for it, and I think I wouldn't be disappointed this year.
Yeah, it just feels like, we've done it for so long now. I think what I'm really looking forward to, like we said, it was the Rockets-Warriors matchup in the Western Conference Finals. Like, that might end up being the real finals. So it could very well be a little bit anticlimactic to have the NBA Finals themselves. Although, it could be some really crazy, situation where maybe Philly ends up being in the finals or something, right? Like, that would be amazing as well.
I would love to see the other team make it, but if it's Warriors Cavs, and they both have hard fought, like the Cavs will just traipse through the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Warriors actually maybe trail in the series, I'm fine with it. And then we still don't know who's going to win. Even though if Steph Curry comes back, I'm still very confident.
I hear you. I'm the same way. I feel like that they're still going to be the favorites to make it no matter what. But again, if we don't get that Rockets Warriors Conference Finals, I'm maybe pissed. But I'm not pissed to have you on the show tonight. Great breakdown of all the playoff series. We'll have to check in with you again and see how accurate we were next week when the playoffs actually start. So, Scotty, don't get scarce on me. Don't go hiding.
And it's on you. And everybody see the shirt, right? You guys see the shirt?
Oh, nice, Kyrie. Yeah, very nice, very nice. All right, well, listen, he is James Holas, a.k.a. Snotty Drippin'. I am Coach Nick, and this is B-Ball Breakdown. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, James? Are you whispering? All right, he's in.